Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thanks very much for your comments. I want to ask you about an issue that's critically important to veterans in New Hampshire. New Hampshire remains the only state in the contiguous 48 states without a full-service VA hospital. And so the Manchester VA Medical Center was built in the 1950s. It continues to experience serious infrastructure issues, pipes bursting in the winter, flooding, heating outages, even insects in the operating surgical suite. On May 9th, the Trump administration announced an executive order directing a feasibility study at the VA within 180 days of the order, submitting a plan to the president, an action plan to expand services at the Manchester VA into a full-service medical center. So veterans have been asking for this for about 20 years now. They're ready to move past the talking stage and to see some action on this. So I'm wondering if, as this study is moving forward, you're going to work to engage with veterans and stakeholders in the state of New Hampshire to make sure you're hearing directly from them and capturing their feedback.
Yes, Congressman, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you carrying the torch for that. Also, I've talked with your governor about this as well, and I can report to you that that feasibility study started this week. And we're going to be working with our stakeholders in New Hampshire and other places to make sure that this goes through. So following through the promise of the president, who made the promise to look at your facilities up there, that's what the EO said, and we're already started that process, and we started it this week.
I appreciate that. And do you start this process with the commitment to establishing a full-service hospital in New Hampshire?
I believe that is the desire of the administration as we go forward, and we're looking at it from that perspective. You have a system in which we're going to look at and make sure that we get the proper needs and the proper care in that area.
Thank you. I appreciate your attention to that. Before I get to my next questions, Chairman Bost, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record data received from the Housing Policy Council showing over 80,000 veterans state by state who are at extremely high risk of foreclosure.
Without objection.
Thank you very much. So I disagree fundamentally with VA's decision to end the VASP program, and I want to ask you a little bit about the timing around that because it was extremely unclear who was informed and when. So VA briefed committee staff on April 9th that VASP would stop accepting applications from lenders on May 1st. I'm wondering when VA first publicly posted the information to the general public about its plans to stop accepting VASP applications.
As far as an exact date on when published, I would have to get you an exact date. I think going the VASP program in general, though, this is a program that I think many on this committee have strong feelings about, should have never started to begin with. This was not a congressional mandate. This was not a congressional program, so it was stopped and it had already got into an area VA didn't need to be in to start with.
So we have the date, basically April 23rd is when that was posted publicly. So literally a matter of days before veterans were made aware of the fact that this program was coming to an end. And I ask about this because we heard directly from a constituent who was caught up in this. He is a veteran his name is Daniel. He's 100% service disabled, veteran of the First Gulf War, reached out to our office days before the end of VASP, understanding that he might still have a chance to get into this program and to make sure that he could start making payments and stay in his home along with his service animals. So I'm wondering if you have any guidance for veterans like this who have been caught up in this period of time where VASP is coming to an end. There wasn't clear communication from the department. What do veterans like Daniel do to be able to stay in their homes while we wait for Congress to take the important step forward to develop a partial claims program?
Well, I think that's what the first step is Congress needs to act upon this, and this should not have been a program that was taking money away from other things to start and getting the VA into a mortgage business. I mean, the numbers here, I think at this point, it stopped on May 1st. No one who is currently in VASP was taken off VASP. Anybody who currently is working through VASP is still on VASP. We just did not take any more. And
so respectfully, it's not a good enough answer for my constituent. He's someone who understood that the date was coming May 1st, was trying to work with his lender to get into the program, and now he's not sure he has any other opportunity to protect his home and to stay in his home. And we're facing a housing crisis in New Hampshire as we are in states across the country. So would you be open to a foreclosure moratorium in the interim while we await action in Congress to develop a bipartisan plan for a partial claims program?
I'm not going to commit to a program on the fly here in the middle of the hearing. I think I understand your concern in looking at it, but again, we set up a problem that was going to end up developing. The reason VASP was stopped was because the VBA, which took money from other programs, reprogrammed from other things, to do this program, came forward, and they were now going to ask for multiple billions of dollars out of their mandatory program to go forward, which I'd have had to come to Congress for. And it was just an area that it had to be a time to cut it. We did it as much as we could. It's not an answer I know you want to hear or the veteran may want to hear, but this is just, it's a program we should have never gotten into.
So look, I disagree with that answer. I think the fact is this was a last resort program that was should have been a stopgap while Congress developed something that was more permanent, and we're working on that. But we've got to be looking out for constituents like this who number 80,000 across the country, people that are at risk of foreclosure, veterans who deserve our support. And so I want to get to just a final statement here. I hear from veterans across New Hampshire that are deeply concerned with some of the moves they see being made by VA. Now, I agree with your statement that you made in your testimony that we've got to be looking out for veterans. And I believe that we do that on this committee. I've served here for 6 years now through administrations of both parties. But I take exception to the claim of what you've said, which is that, quote, literally all VA stakeholders agree with what needs to be done, and that's reflected in the action that you're taking. I don't think that's true, because veterans I talk to don't agree with the abrupt ending to VASP. They don't agree that we should put more veterans at risk of foreclosure. They don't agree with the fact that we've seen crisis line employees lose their jobs who are in probationary status. They don't agree with the fact that your stated goal is to fire 83,000 workers that would cut deeply into VA's ability to meet the needs of our veterans and provide the kind of care and benefits that they deserve. So we've got work to do to make sure that we're improving services at VA, that we're getting things done for veterans. Let's be willing to work together and do what it takes to meet the needs of these heroes who have worn the uniform and have done everything to serve the United States of America. But veterans know that we need more. We need better cooperation. We need better leadership from you to get the job done. And I yield back my time.